Hey folks, Tom with Goldspot Pens here to talk about a pen that some of you may have received of these Jinhao 599A Demonstrator pens that we had specially made for us here at Goldspot with the intention of putting them in complimentary with certain orders during the holiday season. Some of you have been getting them and providing your feedback with thanks for people who know how to use them. On the other hand, you know, ballpoint or rollerball pen users may be a little bit lost with getting a fountain pen. I wanted to make a video to help you out with getting you to use your new pen. I mean, we're going to introduce to you the Jinhao 599A. It's a demonstrator pen, which means that the parts are see-through and they demonstrate the ability of the pen to deliver ink through the mechanism and for you to write with it. So you can clearly see through the parts of the barrel, the section, and the cap, of which I will point out here. This is the cap. This part here unscrews is the barrel. It has a little cutout through both sides to show you the ink level, even though that's not really necessary with the demonstrator. Still kind of gives you a clear window to the converter or the cartridge to look through to see how much ink you have left. This part here is the converter. You twist it, and the little piston on the inside moves up and down, and this is all meant to work in concert with the nib in order for you to fill the pen, which we'll get to later. Insert it here. And this part here, the grip area, is called the section. Of course, it's the part you grip the pen with, and it also is the part that the ink feeds through on the inside here to come to what we call the feed. So the feed has fins to it. It's made out of plastic. It brings the ink and it delivers it to the tips of the metal tines and to the iridium tip. It's a stainless steel nib, and when I refer to the nib, it is the metal portion here that has two tines. It's split in the middle by a slit, and then there's a breather hole in the middle. The distinguishing parts about this pen is that our Goldspot logo is written on the barrel, and also the Goldspot G is engraved into the nib. So how do we use the Jinhao 599A? Alright, so there's two ways. We could take it and we could fill it with a ink cartridge, which we could take any international size ink cartridge, and you would insert it with a push into the front section of the pen, and when you push into it, you want to hear that nice pop, or you feel like a click in. It seats itself in nice and tightly. So with a cartridge, you would be able to take a second one, because it's a small amount of ink capacity with an ink cartridge. You'd be able to take a second one, throw it into the bottom of the barrel, and then screw on the barrel so that you have a second spare for when the first one ends up running out. So with cartridges, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the ink to kind of get going here, for it to start being able to write. It can take like a minute or two. So we want to kind of give it a little bit of time. It actually started working right away. So, but if you do have a little bit of issue with the ink coming out, it doesn't come out right away, you could actually give it a bit of a gentle squeeze, just a very, very gentle bit, just to kind of prime the feed, get the feed flowing full of ink, and then get it writing. But the pen's beginning to write now. Okay, so for the converter fill, which is with a little vial of sample ink. And what we want to do with the converter fill is that we want to take the barrel off. We want to move the piston all the way towards the front by screwing it counterclockwise. And then we want to take the ink sample. I'm going to hold it with one hand here. We're going to hold so that we can put the ink and immerse the nib into the ink. and then screw clockwise. And then we have ink. Oop, dropped a little bit. So that's why you should always have a paper towel handy. Preferably if you're doing it for the first time as well. You want to have, you want to be doing that, all of this like on a kitchen table, a countertop, something that's not porous. That way you can just wipe it off easily and not have any issues. Because of course, even me being experienced, yeah, I got a little bit of ink. I'll get ink on my fingers, I'll get ink on the table and whatnot, but having the paper towel handy, it's helpful to do, especially for people who are doing it for the first time. So, we're all inked up here. We insert the barrel back on. Want to take the ink sample, put the cap back on. We put 2 milliliters in there, so that'll be about a few fills worth of ink just to get you started. So it should start writing instantaneously, which it does. Writing with a Jinhao 599A is a pretty simple affair. You grip the pen by the section. There's 2 indents, which you can see I'm reflecting in the light there, that you would put your thumb and forefinger on, having the middle finger wrapped around the bottom, however you'd like to have it. But these indentations here are meant to help as guides to be able to grip the pen. Then what you'd want to do is, typically most ballpoint or rollerball users may be used to kind of being more up on the tip of the pen and having it more vertically. Fountain pens aren't really built for that sort of writing experience. More it's for a more acute angle to the paper and a more feathery touch. So the less pressure, the better. You don't want to put too much strain on the nib. As it is a piece of metal and is malleable. If you put too much pressure, it will splay the tines, and then you have a nib that's out of whack. When not in use, you want to make sure that you cap the pen. Fountain pen inks are water-based, so they will dry out. If you leave the pen uncapped for a long period of time, it's going to dry out. It's going to have issues with trying to start back up again, so you want to definitely leave it capped whenever that you're not in use of it. The very tip of it, also if you touch it anywhere on the feed, on the nib, you're going to get ink on your hands. So you don't want to have somebody accidentally grab it, cat hits it, whatever, with the nib open. Also rolling off the table there with the nib exposed can damage the nib. So you definitely want to have it capped. As far as storing it and carrying it with you, definitely don't just throw it in a bag. It'll just jostle around too much and then ink will be all over the place. Could possibly crack the barrel, crack the cap. What we would recommend doing is, typically most journals or organizers will have like a pen loop. Stick it in the pen loop, clip it to, let's say, a shirt pocket, clip it to jeans pocket, clip it to something just so it stays most preferably upright, and that it just kind of stays without having too much motion to it, because shaking it up and down and having it be jostled around a lot is going to cause it to leak and to get ink all over the place, and that's just not pleasant. When you're finished with a fill of ink, let's say you've finished your full fill of the converter, you've finished the cartridge, you want to switch to a different ink, totally can do it. It's one of the funnest things about having a fountain pen is going through all the different types of inks. So when you do it though, I would rinse out the nib first. You would take out the front section, remove the converter, let's say converter's empty, take out the front section, put it under cool running tap water. All of the traces of the original color of ink are gone. Let it air dry, blot it with a paper towel, just to get it nice and dry. If you're using the converter, you want to rinse out the converter until the water runs clear as well. These pens are decently well made enough so that if you take care of them, they will last you, several years, let's say 10, 20 years even, depending upon, of course, the everyday use and whatnot. So, definitely want to take care of them, do constant maintenance to just make sure that the previous inks are out completely, washed out and everything. If you're putting them in long-term storage, you'd want to wash them out. If you do have any problems with writing with these pens, filling them up or anything, just feel free to get in touch with us, send us an email, a message, tweet, anything. This covers the introduction for the Jinhao 599A, supplied by Goldspot pens. If you have any questions, always feel free to just get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help. Thanks. Have a good one.